Hello, good morning from Asia, good evening if you're in the US, good night if you're in Europe. Welcome to the Music Matters Academy. My name is Jasper Donat. I'm the CEO of Branded, and we've produced Music Matters for the past, believe it or not, 16 years. Every year at Music Matters, we produce the Music Matters Academy. It's usually here in Singapore, and it's usually always been live, and we're always in the same person, IRL. This year, due to our various travel restrictions, we are 100% virtual, which is great. It means that we can spread our wings. It means that we can reach more people and bring you a more diverse global range of speakers. So whether you're an artist or an executive or anything involved in the entertainment business, marketing business, anything, or just interested in music, it's never been a more exciting time to be in the music business. The Music Matters Academy is designed to help build a foundation for musicians and next-gen business leaders to learn and upskill through the mentorship and knowledge sharing of global industry icons. You could be an artist or a manager or wanting to get noticed. You could be an exec looking to learn more about other areas of the business. This is the business of music taught here by the music business. We've designed 8 modules that we're going to run over the next 3 months, starting with music publishing today, one of the most exciting areas of the music business. Then tomorrow we're looking at platforms and distribution. I've got a song, how do I get noticed? Later in September, we're going to be moving into marketing and then onwards into getting noticed, artist management, entertainment law, live streaming and touring, and we really important session on mental health and well-being. So please stay with us through the next 2 or 3 months, because we're going to bring some really cool speakers in to talk to you and meet you. The next couple of days feature some of the biggest names in the music business, including YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Believe, Hypnosis, Ultra, Musio, Cobalt, Peer Music, TuneCore, and we've got songwriters and we've got artists as well. So giving you real coalface information about how they are, how they have made it and how they're continuing to thrive. The content is virtual, the content is fireside, it's live, or most of it is live. We also want to hear from you, so please ask questions. There's a box somewhere where you can ask questions and we'll get them to the speakers. There are also a couple of 2 or 3 private meet and greet sessions where you can actually meet the speakers and ask them questions after the sessions. Go onto the agenda, check them out. You need to register. I think they might be full, but just check out if there may be a couple of spaces if you want to meet the speakers later. Finally, you may have noticed, or you know by now, that the Music Matters Academy is free to attend. We don't want to charge artists to learn how to succeed. This is 100% thanks to our sponsors and partners, and I want to say a personal thank you to our friends at YouTube and Believe, plus the support we've received from Dolby and Steinberg Protocol. So thank you from me and everyone at Music Matters for all your support, and everyone watching, because thanks to you, it's happening. So everyone watching, thanks for joining. Please enjoy. As I said, please get your questions in, and let's get on with the show. The music business over the past few centuries has been heavily influenced by technology, from Thomas Edison to the gramophone, to vinyl, to radio, to video, to CDs, to streaming and short form video. It's appropriate that first up for the Music Matters Academy this year, we're going into crypto land to explore the world of NFTs and why people are getting so excited. Are they a hit or are they just a fad? Later this morning, we're looking at artificial intelligence, along with also understanding basic music law and who actually owns your song. So let's get on with it. First up, we have Jason Fielding and Rob Spitzer. Let's say hello to Jason.
Hey, Jasper, Jason, how you doing?
I'm very good. Great to see you again. Pretty soon, hopefully, we'll see you live in person in the same place. But Jason, just give a little bit of an introduction. Who are you? Where are you? And I will then leave you alone.
Jason Fielding. I'm based in Sydney. 20 plus odd years in live music agencies, working very much in the sort of brand, artist, label, promoter space. Many times speaker at All That Matters, Music Matters over the years. Wishing I was there now, but doing it the way we've got to do it now. I think Jasper's gone now, so I'm going to carry on. So this session now is we're going to quickly look at music artists and how you are going to interact with the new technology that's really fast upon us in the digital asset, crypto, NFT, fan token space. It's a very exciting area that's got real implications for artists of all stripes, whether or not you're a new artist or well established. And to have this chat with me, we're going to bring in Rob Spitzer, who is based in LA right now. Rob, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here and join for this exciting panel.
Rob, just give us a quick bit of background on yourself.
Sure. I actually lived and worked in Asia for over 18 years as an independent promoter for concerts around China. And I launched and ran the Live Nation business in mainland China. And then had the privilege of working with AEG around all of Asia, including Japan, Korea, Greater China, Southeast Asia, and we even got into India and the Middle East. So I've worked across a broad range of geography, and I'm now relocated to California and working on digital projects, and most recently with Rally, empowering creators, musicians, artists, celebrities with cryptocurrency and NFTs for them to build their own independent economies with their fan communities. And so fans can purchase their social tokens and have access to exclusive content, private communities, events, merchandise, etc.
And we'll touch on a few examples of what you're doing at Rally in a moment. And just for everyone watching, we've got 23 minutes to go through this. Rob and I are going to talk, but please, if you've got questions, send them through on the chat, and we'll see those, and we'll get through as many of those questions as we can. Really, the overarching theme of all this, Rob, is the creator economy now with this new technology. What new? It's been 13 years in the making. Really opens up opportunities now for creators that have not been there before. We're going to talk about NFTs. We're going to talk about fan tokens and what you're doing at Rally. We're going to talk a little bit about concepts in the metaverse. And we're going to touch on publishing and kind of assets and publishing as an asset class and how that fits into this as well. So where should we start? Let's start with NFTs. We're going to assume that people listening, the audience, have heard of NFTs, kind of have an idea of at least what they look like, what they are. We won't go into what they are in terms of code on the blockchain. That's a whole other session that we could do. There's some really exciting things with music artists and NFTs now. This year has really seen an explosion of people experimenting with this whole space. What are some of the fun things you've seen?
I would say firstly that just this entire Web3 wave, is so significant, and I think it's important for everybody to try to understand as much as they can. I think it's a learning process for everybody, ourselves included. But to really think about how does this next big wave of technology affect their business and their opportunities in their in their artistic endeavors. And by wave I mean we really consider this. I think many people, I agree. The blockchain technology and the ownership potential really as significant as the internet itself or social media. Really, every 10, 15 years, there's always some sort of, seismic changes. And this one seems to be coming along rapidly. And NFTs...
the whole space is being adopted at twice the speed as the internet was adopted.
Right. And I think it's going to pick up steam because it touches on so many areas all at once. And so with NFTs, I think that's really been the breakthrough. Even though, as you noted, cryptocurrency has been around for a bit, and it lived in sort of darker corners for a while. And
as the internet did in its early days.
True. And then I would say, it's cryptocurrency has had its ups and downs, and it's something that people maybe didn't connect with or didn't see how it's important to them unless they were investing and getting into it. But NFTs, I would say, have been the sort of breakthrough component of crypto or blockchain technology that seems to resonate. And I think it's exciting that the particular area that it disrupted, most readily was the art space. Maybe not what people would have expected, where cryptocurrency was, touching on so many financial and money matters. To see, this kind of technology come right through to the fine art space, and for video creators and for musicians. It's been exciting to see, something so important come through, not just to technologists and financiers, but to come right through to the hands of artists and creators.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not just the art space. It's the culture space. I mean, we're seeing
Absolutely.
now this technology sweeping through art, as you mentioned, the people being, I guess, the high point there. Sport, NBA Top Shots has literally become a whole thing now in the US and worldwide. I don't know what the latest sales figures are for that. Last time I looked, it was north of 300 million in 2021 alone.
Yeah.
And in the music space now, artists are experimenting. This whole space is relatively new, and people are trying out how this works for them. What are some of the fun things you've seen? What are some of the standouts for you in the NFT space for musicians?
And I would just add, the same way people have, probably originally wondered whether they should take steps into social media or other, platforms. It's
should I start a Facebook page?
If somebody's wondering whether they should be, diving into this space, it's kind of like saying, should I be on Instagram, or, should I be in some other
social media? With brand clients back in 27, 28, 29.
Right.
Ooh, should we be doing this?
So, in the music space, I think there's a couple of different areas. I think one of the, of course, exciting areas, always one of the most exciting areas is music discovery. And so if traditional systems, which we could talk on and on forever, and I know Music Matters is always tackling these dilemmas, but the traditional systems of the music industry were always a challenging pyramid to climb. And for all the great work that we've seen in the independent musicians who've gone the independent route, whether it's on the publishing side, the recording side, this is about independent ownership, right? Where a musician can directly, establish their creation as being theirs. They can monetize it by selling it on to somebody else. I mean, just the fundamentals that change using this kind of technology, I think is exciting. So music discovery is one area certainly to look at for new creators. And then for those who are already somewhat popular and have engaged followings, if they're taking some of their music and related content and packaging that up, into an NFT, then that means they can sell that to fans in, broad and affordable, fashions, or they can create limited and scarce and therefore highly valuable pieces that are, going to add a lot of money to their bank account. So it's exciting to see. It's exciting to see something that can work just as well for a big shot, very famous global artist, but it also works just as well for somebody who's, trying to get off the ground, trying to launch their career. And if you look back to some of those, papers like the 1,000 True Fans, right? How could that actually work? Well, an emerging creator could put out NFTs and sell, some component of their work or of their, to their fandom or their, burgeoning fandom, something that would really result in direct monetary support for them. I think it's super exciting.
And for the first time, have that ability to own that relationship directly and grow that relationship.
Yep, there's always been a lot of a lot of different layers, to the music business and other content businesses. And my favorite word is disintermediation. Right? You can have creators, deciding at one moment something that they've created they want to share and they want to monetize it, and suddenly it can be up and available for those who want to buy in. I think you're going to see, when I was talking about music discovery, it's almost like people love to brag. Oh, I saw Billie Eilish when there was only 20 people in the room, or I was the first big, I was the whatever first big fan of so and so, or an A&R guy
at the Free Trade Hall.
Yeah, I mean we're all A&R folks, I guess. We're all we're all able now to show our support, and again, provide some funding that's needed for those who are trying to get into to make that their life's work. And it's also bragging rights. If there's one thing people love to do, it's show off. And it's like, wow, you got into the first edition for an artist that you admire, then that's something you'll be able to hold on to now, potentially forever, or resell it.
I'm going to give some practical examples so for people watching. I can see some questions flying in, to give a few examples just to put things into context. So some of the experiments that I've seen that are really interesting is Lil Dicky put his publishing rights to a song, perfectly titled "Save That Money." He put that out. Great video, by the way. Great video as well. Brilliant idea, right? And he put the publishing rights out as an NFT. So what that meant was you could buy, the highest bidder would own then a portion of those publishing rights. The highest bid for that, the closing bid was 9.2 ETH, which is roughly, I think, about 30K. Right. And that the owner of that NFT now will, in perpetuity, or for the next, I think it's 30 years while the copyright exists, will get a revenue stream from that. So there's an example there with an artist sort of playing around with that joint ownership side of things. I really love the Steve Aoki NFT that he dropped recently with an artist. I don't know if you saw that, with Anthony Tedisco. Art and music kind of fusing together.
Yeah, there's been some great ones where music creators are reaching out to visual creators that they admire, finding ways to collaborate. It makes it special, makes it distinct.
And for the first time in a digital sense, those pieces can be verified and digitally owned.
Right, and to be clear, we can all see it, we can all hear it. But if somebody wants to be the owner or fractional owner of those compositions or those pieces, they can do that. And some of them are doing it because they love the entertainment and there's some intrinsic value to them. Other people are doing it as speculators, and they believe that they'll be able to sell it in the future for more. And we see that in the traditional rights. I think there'll be some other panels in this academy that probably will touch on it, but it's certainly a way to level the playing field, that really anybody with a wallet can go and seek out these ownership opportunities, and that's really the game changer.
And what really excites me, and you touched on it a moment ago, that ability for a fan, when you find that artist, you go, I really think he or she or they are going to be really successful. You become a huge fan. Up until now, that fandom wasn't really rewarded. You got some bragging rights, as you mentioned. You bought all the merch. You went to the shows. But now with fan tokens, I want to get into that with you and touch on what you're doing with Rally and the broader ecosystem. Fans can really now invest in their artist and go on that journey with them, and kind of there's an economic relationship there.
I would use the term show support. Social tokens are meant to be something where fans can participate, they can show support, they can access the artist in various ways, whether that's content or whether it's the artist themselves. Sometimes, there are creators who will avail themselves for, direct connections with fans, or there's gamers who will play games, there's musicians who will play songs, there's different ways to access talent, sometimes even directly, but other times in digital content, which, it just opens up so many doors, whether there's, physical goods involved, like traditional merchandise, t-shirts and posters and limited things, or whether there's, virtual components. Now you've got opportunities to take digital assets into virtual spaces. So, that the Web3 technology is not only changing the world we live in, and the traditional lines of business that creators have been in, but it also opens up completely new doors then when somebody's taking, IP and digital assets into a virtual space, meaning, the metaverse, which used to sound like this futuristic term that we were going to see somewhere, off in the distant future. It's today. And if anyone doesn't realize that that's happening right now, then I encourage them to delve a little bit deeper, because you can buy fashion to wear into the metaverse. You can buy, of course, in the whole gaming world, there's all these, various components of games that can be, brought into the gaming spaces. But now that we're seeing those kinds of, that technology is now going into more social spaces and creative spaces. So you've got performers, playing concerts, and you've got fans assembling and wanting to socialize. And when you think about it in that framework, then having access and having the accoutrements, whether that's what you're wearing, or maybe I'm a virtual DJ in a virtual space and I want to play a song, then I'm going to have access to that song. So it starts to make more sense. If people are looking at NFTs and just thinking, why would I want this digital asset that's sitting in a crypto wallet? What's good about that? I would say that, there are aspects of it that really just smack of speculation and the collectible, right? Scarce collectibles and people that are into like trading cards and stuff. But there's other aspects of it that will be more social and be more, really be able to share the creativity. And I would say that the virtual space of the metaverse and other, digital means of connecting with one's friends and peers or even strangers, like in a festival setting, start to get very interesting. And so, social tokens and NFTs are the path to that.
Let's just touch on social tokens and open that up a bit more for the audience. What is a fan token? What is a social token? How does that kind of work?
A social token works where a creator could be, anything, could be a musician, an artist, an athlete, a celebrity, and they brand their own digital currency and NFTs. But if they're branding their own digital currency, then they're building their own economy, because NFTs that most people are encountering now, they have to be on some blockchain. So if they're on the Ethereum blockchain and you buy it, you're strengthening the Ethereum economy. If they're on the Flow blockchain, you're buying a Top Shot, then you're essentially, contributing to the Flow economy, I guess.
The network effects of that blockchain.
Right. But if a creator, puts out their own social token, then anyone who's purchasing, to hold or to spend, when they're buying into that token, they're buying into that economy and they're enlarging that economy. So even if it starts very small, it can quickly grow to something of significant value. So when you talk about, creators who are getting into these digital assets, they have to decide, are they going to, just transact, or do they want to build an economy that, yes, they're monetizing, their fans, but their fans can also participate, right? Because the fans are also holding those tokens, then the fans, get benefit from it. And that could be, like I said, accessing content, sometimes not even without spending, sometimes without spending, they're just holding tokens could give them almost like membership rights. They might have access to a community, or they might be able to get into events, whether those are real events like access to a pre-sale, or whether they're virtual events that we were just talking
We're
about.
seeing that in the football space in Europe with Chili's and Socios and the fan token ecosystem they're building there with all the big football clubs.
All over the world, yeah. I mean, because that's an excellent example because those clubs already had fan clubs, right? And they already had season ticket holders. So core fans of those teams were already engaging in some level of different tiered support relationships. Now with the blockchain, it's immutable provenance, meaning they own it and they know they've got it, and it's something they can brag about, but it's also something that brings them utility, and that's what's important. I think the more utility the better. So even though we've seen these NFTs blowing up with sometimes people ask why would essentially it's just a JPEG. Yes, it's on the blockchain, you can prove that you own it and you can trade it and sell it, whatever, but what's the value of the JPEG? And it's mostly just bragging rights or sometimes that that scarcity,
and you can do things with them now that you couldn't do before. You can have on sale commissions, and you can have
but what I'm driving at is the more utility the better, the more it can be used for. If having that token gets you some benefit in the real world or the virtual world, then to me that's where it's all headed. So it won't just be collectibles, right? Because there's always been memorabilia, there's always been collectibles. It was never really my thing. But access to content, access to events, access to the creators themselves or other connections with fans, that's what people will buy into. That's the motivator.
And just bring it back to the audience that's watching this conversation. So I'm a young artist now. What should I be doing to start my sort of journey to create a great ecosystem with fan tokens?
I think the first step is to pay attention to it, right? Again, like I said, it's all new, and so it's a learning experience really for everybody. But when you look at some of the musicians, producers, and again, not just the headline where somebody made millions of dollars on some super unique one of one, but where you see some of these guys, like you mentioned, Steve Aoki, and I posted on that, where I thought what a brilliant approach, where you're gonna create things that people can enjoy, but also it's going to afford them some rights and benefits, and I think that's really where you're going to see more of it headed.
I think what you said there is important. Just start to understand the space and.
Oh, right, your question. But what do they do? Yeah, understand the space. Follow it. Follow some good accounts.
And I think it's going to get to a point, right? Because right now there is a bit of sort of technical know-how that you need, and you've got to understand blockchains. And fast forward 5 years, there's going to be a whole load of platforms.
You don't need to wait 5 years. I mean,
what I mean is where people won't really need to know. Like we're talking now.
I mean, if you look at people's early experiences, I mean, even already, like you mentioned, NBA Top Shots, you don't need to be a crypto expert to go buy a moment. You
don't want to get a wallet.
The work that we do with creators, takes out the technical challenges on the creator side and on the fan side. We just, we want fans to just be able to participate, to access the content or access the experiences that they're looking for. And it's really just only limited by a creator's imagination. So. No, I think there's lots of ways it can be done without getting too technical or too difficult. But really, it's about creators thinking what's going to be exciting for their fans. I mean, a lot of it gets gamified, right? Where creators, even if they're a music creator, they come up with opportunities where different NFTs or combinations of things are going to unlock other opportunities or experiences. There's a lot of fun puzzles to figure out.
Rob, I think that's our time with you, my friend. You've got a fly in LA now to go somewhere else. I want to thank you
Sure.
for everything that you've gone through today. Any last thoughts on where this space is going to go for artists over the next couple of years?
Just that it's a deep topic, and I'm glad that we're starting to discuss it in lots of cool new directions. And I think as everybody learns more and dives into it, they're going to find wonderful new ways to embrace the technology and embrace the business opportunities. I think it's exciting for the big names, but it's exciting for for the new young creators that want to shape their career from day one with more ownership and more independent control, and that's great for the entire ecosystem. So really glad to join you and excited for some of the other Academy panels coming up. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Rob. See you again.
So thanks, Rob. Now we have had loads of questions, Jason. Rob had to jump off, so I'm going to ask you. First question from Sylvain. Going back to real basics, it's great to understand what exactly do you own when you buy an NFT.
So an NFT is its basic level. It's code that gets minted onto a blockchain. That's what it actually is. That can then be represented either as an image, as a contract, we're starting to see potentially that title deeds to property will become NFTs, and you own the access to that, the keys to that gives you that ownership. So it's ownership. If you think about the art space, and this may be why digital art, I think, was in the first wave of things that we saw people experimenting. So in the traditional space, painter painting, there'd be one of those, that would end up being sold. It would hang in a gallery, and that would accrue value because of its scarcity. In the digital space, until blockchain came along, you might be a digital artist, and art really just reflects culture at any one time. So people were experimenting with digital art. There was no way to create the scarcity of that image. Everyone jokes that it's just a JPEG, and sure, you can copy and paste it, and you've got a copy of it. When it's minted as an NFT on the blockchain, there's only one of that original piece. So you're creating basically digital scarcity. That's in essence what they are.
Okay, so we have another question here. From now, if I pronounce your name wrong, I do apologize. Nacho Tomei. Why would someone buy or sell something that would anyway be accessible as digital exact copies?
It goes back to that authentic ownership of something that's scarce. So you've seen there's the crypto punks and some of the other NFTs that have really exploded in the last couple of months. There's people are buying those and putting those as their profile picture or whatever it might be, and it's already becoming a sort of faux pas to put that up if you don't own it. So we're seeing, again, this is a new space, and things are being experimented, and things will go up and down in value as the market matures. But we're seeing now that sense of digital ownership and what that really means. We've seen art galleries. There are art galleries now that are displaying NFTs and NFT art. The actual imagery is amazing. It's a new kind of form of artistic expression.
Is it worth $60 million?
Well, is a Picasso worth $60 million? I mean, it's art is a reflection of society, and it's a reflection of what somebody values it at. So I think, and everyone laughed about the banana taped to the wall, and everyone laughed about Banksy when he came along and was doing graffiti, and now a Banksy's worth, millions in itself. So we're seeing now just the bleeding edge of artistic expression in society, and fusing with technology, and all those things been experimented with. Okay,
so good friend of ours down in Australia, Spyro Arculis. I think this is kind of going on the same level here, but it's been NFTs and crypto has been described as the Wild West as a scenario. Are music licensing parameters and NFTs getting clearer at the present time? Example, publishing. Now, hopefully, the last 30 minutes answers that question for you, Spyro. But Jason, is it becoming clearer?
Well, the internet was the Wild West when it first started. and electricity was the Wild West when it was first invented, and no one really knew what to do with it. And I'm sure fire back in the day was, considered a dangerous technology so it's a new technology that people are just starting to understand, and you see people's reactions to that in many different ways. Some people run towards it and kind of want to play with it and figure out how we can use it. Some people feel threatened by it, or kind of don't want to put the effort into to learn how it works. And we use the analogy of the internet exactly the same way. When the internet, if you remember back in the 90s, when the internet first came along, everybody was like, what is this thing? How's it going to work? I've got, articles that I send to people occasionally that dismissed it as a passing fad. Reputable, I won't name who, but reputable publications that were talking about the internet as if it was just some crazy fad.
It'll never catch on.
No,
this internet thing, it'll never. All right, so just aware of time there, Jason. Another great old friend of ours. Sorry, I don't mean the word old. Great friend of ours, Deborah Newman, who's in the US. The question is kind of, is the ownership exclusive? E.g., lots of other people can also own it.
Well, it again goes back to digital scarcity. So let's take the Mona Lisa. There's one Mona Lisa. It's hanging in a museum in Paris. Somebody could make an exact copy of that, and it would look exactly the same, just the same ways that you might copy a piece of digital art, but it's not the original. So the original is priceless, hanging in the Louvre, and the copy is worth what everyone is prepared to pay for it on the black market. So it's the same. It's that appreciation of scarcity and authenticity.
I've got 3 minutes left. So final question. I think this is going to be from Andy Tickner. If someone owns the NFT publishing rights, then presumably they could use those rights across many different disciplines, such as content or sync.
Well, it depends. That's a great question, Andy. It depends what's programmed into the NFT. So it could be just a royalty split, which is what Little Dicky did, or there could be other ownership usage rights that get built into that. So that's the thing with smart contracts. You can build in different usage rights
and rules, right?
Different rules. Basically, they're rules that are immutable, and they're put onto a blockchain and will, last forever in time.
Okay, so listen, I think we've unfortunately we have run out of time. We have a session coming up in 10 minutes or so. But Jason and when Rob was here as well, thank you so much for really kind of explaining more about what NFTs and the crypto market means to music. I mean, it is obviously exciting. It's obviously early. And then, as you said, once upon a time, so was the internet. So definitely worth exploring. Definitely great to see you both on this session this morning. Thank you for taking the time coming in from Sydney and LA. Up next at the Music Matters Academy in 7 minutes time, we have the next Publishing Matters session featuring Cobalt's Simon Moore with a wonderful songwriter called Nat Dunn. Sorry, no, I got that wrong. The next session, I do apologize, is we're looking at AI and we're looking at law. We have Hazel Savage from Museo, followed by Greg Pryor from Reed Smith. Museo is all about AI in music, and Reed Smith, he's going to be talking about the ownership of music. So please do join us back here at 10:45, and then Simon and Nat a little bit later in the afternoon. So thank you for joining Music Matters Academy. We'll see you back here in 5 minutes. Thank you.